Ascend Global Services webinar. My name is Jeff Manco. I'm out of Cleveland, Ohio market. And it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening, Mr. Kevin Gantos. I want to give you a little bit of background on Kevin. Kevin has built many traditional businesses with over $650 million in revenue outside of network marketing. And then inside of network marketing, Kevin has reached the top position of several different network marketing companies, as well as build organizations of over tens of thousands of people all across the United States and the world. So there's no better person to learn what we're going to learn this evening. So without further ado, I want to introduce the president of Ascend Global Services, Mr. Kevin Gantos.
Thank you so much, Jeff. And of course, we've been together for many years. I would like you to take a second and really share a little bit. You know, obviously we have Miss Shirley Williams out of Florida coming online with the testimony, obviously the tax advantages that she was able to enjoy. How about yourself? I know you work at the Ford plant pretty much full time, and because you have a home-based business, how much you've been able to actually get extra back in your tax return?
Wow, Kevin, that's a great question. You know, I could tell you a story in regards to a couple of years ago. My girlfriend and myself and her two daughters, we went down to Punta Cana, and we spent a week down in Punta Cana, all-inclusive resort, now Lorimore. And one of the things that was really kind of neat is when I had my taxes done, I asked my accountant specifically to include the trip after he was done, because, you know, having a home-based business, especially in the travel industry, you know, I no longer take vacations. I do market research, so that this way everything could be a tax write-off. And, you know, it was kind of neat because my accountant did all my taxes, which having a home-based business with all the deductions and everything is incredible. But then just that trip alone, the trip cost $4,400 out of pocket. And then when he had that trip in, just from that one specific trip, got almost an extra $900 back in our taxes. So, you know, having your own home-based business is incredible.
Well, fantastic. Jeff, thank you so much for sharing. So important for people to hear. Again, tonight is meant to be informative. We are not giving tax advice here. Our job here tonight is to create awareness of the people that enrolled for $59.95, well, maybe through the gold package. You know, the bottom line is, it's just amazing to me, the ability to say, hey, you know what, there's another caveat to owning a home-based business that we believe a lot of people aren't aware of. A lot of leaders said, hey, great time of the year. I know Jeff had alluded to that as well. And of course, we want to be able to share that information with you. I got somebody texting me here saying they're not able to get on. Everybody else, well, I see a whole army of people getting onto tonight's webinar, so maybe they're having an issue. But anyways, let's roll right into this, okay? So bottom line is, I just really want to say we have Miss Shirley Williams as well, and I want to be able to, I'm texting this person, so bear with me, sorry about that. Shirley Williams is out of Florida. I know I have Shirley unmuted. Shirley, if you could as well, if you could share a little bit about the tax advantages, a great leader out of Florida, what you were able to save is actually get extra back in your tax return by owning a home-based business. Shirley, are you there?
Good evening, Kevin. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Glad to have you on tonight's webinar. And of course, we have guests on the line and new people on the line, and trying to understand, does it make sense to have a home-based business? Are there actually tax benefits, as people allude to? You know, even with the new tax laws, I'm going to go over some of that as well. How much did you actually get back extra because you had a home-based business?
Well, thank you for allowing me to speak on tonight's call, Kevin. Yes, taking advantage of having this Ascend Global Services home-based business allowed me this year to again gain almost $5,000 extra on top of what I would have without having the business probably owed. Because as you're aware, the tax laws changed and so many deductions were taken away. But utilizing the business, those deductions for the trips that I took last year, including those being able to claim the expenses for my vehicle, the repair, the mileage, the tolls, being able to claim so many things that I wouldn't have been able to had I not had my Ascend Global Services home-based business. And more than likely next year, those individuals who don't take advantage of opening their own home based business are going to end up owing taxes next year for 2019. So you got to take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of us. And when you join the Ascend Global Services, you'll be able to claim those vacations, not just as vacations, but as you're on vacation, you're going to talk about your business. You're going to share the opportunity just as it was presented to you with someone else, and enable them to take advantage of these tax savings. So yes, it's a good thing to have a home-based business, and it's even more so when you can take advantage of the tax savings and then use that money and reinvest it in your business, be able to take more vacations. So it's a win-win, Kevin.
Well, thank you so much, Shirley, for sharing. Great to hear. Jeff got money back. You got extra money back. And for the people that are enrolling, think about it. I know a lot of people came into the business here in January and February, an incredible volume of people. And we just want to reach out to everybody, let you know, creating, again, awareness. Look, it's up to you to go back to your CPA, but you want to make sure your CPA doesn't just say, oh, yeah, I know about home-based business tax laws, because that's not the reality. The reality is a lot of people are learning and still educating, if you can believe. They do basically 200 to 300 returns between January and April 1st. And, with the new laws coming into place, you want to make sure they're up to speed. But there are so many deductions, and I'm just going to kind of summarize, and we'll go through the actual presentation. It's just a general presentation, but, if you want to be able to understand that if we're talking about things like your car, your automobile, and of course, everything is about logging it. There's plenty of apps right now where if you sit down and you do a business luncheon, 50% of that is tax deductible with the new laws, right? So you want to be able to do that and just take a picture of the receipt. The tax spots, they have all kinds of things out there where, it doesn't have to be cumbersome. A mileage log as well. I'm just kind of giving you the summary up front, things that are relevant. Look, the more documented are, it's kind of like, if the IRS says to you, you're kind of guilty until proven innocent, you want to make sure you're documented. It's not that crazy, but I want you to understand that you got 54.5 cents, per mile. Just think about that, providing you can log it, that it was a business trip on there. You heard Jeff, of course, allude to the fact of a cruise, so all of those things are deductible. The part I love most of all is basically your home. If you're taking your home and your home's 3,000 square feet and your home office, of course, your business office, in other words, you can't have a pool table in there and all of that. It's got to be like an office with business on, a laptop and all of that. But if your office was 300 square feet, you could actually deduct 10%. Remember, you just bought a bottle for $59.95 enrolled, and you wanted to buy your bottle wholesale. But what happens when you get an extra 10% now off of your mortgage, your utilities, and the list goes on? Is just incredible. And that's what we want to create awareness about. Probably one of the best people out there with videos and documentation. Of course, he's got a lot of videos out there where he wants you to buy this and buy that. But the guy really is a bona fide CPA, former IS attorney, and he used to train other IRS attorneys as well and the agents. So I want you to understand this guy is pretty documented there. I like the guy, Sandy Botkin, plenty of research. But this is something you don't want to wing. What you want to know is, wait a minute, it makes sense to bring this into my taxes, right? So if you're looking basically adjusted gross income, you want to say, okay, this is what my business brought in. And of course, on top of that, the income that you generated maybe from your normal job, that's your adjusted gross income. and now use the deductions. Probably one of the neatest things in the new tax law is basically the personal deductions have gone up. So where it used to be $12,000, we'll say, right? It's now $24,000. We actually get to write that off. So again, not advice, awareness tonight, but I would say, look, go out there and understand that. You know, did you know? Here's a prime example. Let me get rid of the sidebar here because it shows everybody and it gets in the way of the slides here. Your largest expense is the taxes you pay in your lifetime. Think about it. You know, if you go out there and you buy a meal, we'll say buy something for $10, you got a sales tax, right? And the $10 you originally got from your wages was from net dollars, right? Think about it. If you just took literally $10 in net income, probably $2 of that was taxes before you got the $10. It was taken out of your wages, right? Then, of course, you pay the sales tax. Say that's another 8%, somewhere around there. And so when you look at all your taxes, then you look at the end of the year, you got to pay your real estate taxes, right? You got to pay Social Security. All these different things add up. And, of course, it's one of the biggest expenses there are. To get rich, you must get your taxes down to the legal minimum. In other words, we're not talking at all tonight about, oh, hey, I'm going to buy something here with the government. And that's not what we're talking about. We run with the highest level of integrity. We want you to do that. But a lot of people are getting in and they're looking at the $59.95, getting their bottle, you know, of CBD oil, which is amazing because it's normally an $89 product. You're getting that at a discount. You're able to market it retail. But I want you to know that you also have a home-based business now, maybe a lot of people. That's what I've been getting from the leaders. A lot of people don't even realize the added benefit of having a home-based business, right? So here's a prime example. As we go through this, we'll go to the next slide. And minutes, my CPA will take care of my taxes. Now, here's what I mean by that. Will your doctor take care of your health, right? You have to participate in that is what I'm trying to say here, right? Let's see who is acting in the best interest. Find a CPA who is knowledgeable. This is so important about a home-based business. Just don't assume because they're a CPA, they know what they need to know. You want to make sure, and this is why you want to get into a little bit of a space about educating yourself, right? Get the book that I talked about here, Lower Your Taxes, get rid of that. I mean, read it. You know, I mean, the important part is you want to be proactive in your own financial rescue, as I like to put it, okay? So if we go to the next thing, who are paying most of the taxes? There's two tax systems in the United States. One for salaried employees. So if you got a job, you got a 1040, right? You get a paycheck and everything's taken out first. And then you get the rest, okay? If you're self-employed, small home-based business owner, right? You get all the money first. So think about that. If you know you're getting all the money up front, right? So that's a good thing. And of course, this is a prime example. The next slide: salaried employees pay higher Social Security tax, lower deductibles, everything is taxable. So they, in essence, pay tax first and then spend later. Okay? A small home-based business owner, and I've been an entrepreneur since 1979. I don't know any other way. I know we collect first, right? And then we have our deductions. And of course, what's even amazing, let's say you have a year where you've got a loss, you can carry that forward almost 20 years. So maybe you had a bad year or you came through the crash and you lost 100 or 200,000, you can carry that. So let's say you've got your tax liability, you know, your $50,000 that year and another 50,000, and you want to shelter that. That 100,000, you could actually shelter your income, right? And have minimal tax liability. And that's a true statement. All right. So very, very important. Legally write off many expenses thanks to the IRS and Congress, saving thousands of dollars every year. Spend first, pay tax later. Spend first, pay tax later. Okay. So the best part about it is what you spend, depending if it's related to business, is actually a tax deduction. So let's say out of $10, right, you receive $10 in commission, and $5 of that was you spent it for gasoline and a meal, or whatever it was. You'd only have to pay tax on $5. Where if you're employed, right, think about this, $10, right, you earn $10, right, you're going to end up with $8 right there, and then you still have to fight for the deductions that you have. So here's an example. Salaried employees, $100 income taxable. So minus $30 in taxes, we'll say when you add it all up, it's 30%. You have $70 left, which is your net dollars spent paying bills, right? Zero saved. So you pay $9,000 taxes for $30,000 annual income. Again, you pay tax first and then spend later. So that's the reality, right? Some people say, well, I like to know that I don't have to worry about my taxes. Well, look at the other example here. All right? You get $100 in income through your AGS business. We'll use as an example, right? $70 spent paying bills. Well, you're going to pay bills anyways, right? Look at the salaried employee. The salaried employee and the small business owner both are going to pay bills. They're both going to, let's pretend you're salaried and this year you're a home-based business, right? When you were salaried, right, your mortgage is probably the same, your fuel the same, your food the same, your energy, all those things are still the same. But the difference is the paradigm shift is you get the money first, and now you get to deduct a lot of those expenses, which allows you to have less of a tax liability. So here's a prime example of that, right? I really want to hit on this slide. This is probably the most important slide you'll see through the whole presentation. This is the part I really want you to sink in, right? So 1040 is someone who's salaried. A 1099 is something that you'll get from the company. Typically, if you're $600 or more, that's when it becomes, okay, you want to be able to claim that. So that's typically it, all right? So here's an example. $30, and again, go back to your CPAs and make sure you're talking to people that understand home-based business. We're not talking about traditional businesses here, where there's totally a different tax law for a home-based business versus a traditional business. So you might say, well, I got a traditional business. I already got enough tax shelters. No, you don't. You want to be able to the home-based business by enrolling for the $59.95. I'm using the gold package as an example, right? You actually now walked into this beautiful place where now all of a sudden you have a home-based business. All these basically tax deductions now exist in your life to allow you to get more money back legally. That's all we care about, right? But look at the difference. The employee, right, paid $9,000 taxes for $30,000 in annual income, right? The business owner, same amount of money, right, paid $2,700 taxes, right, on a $30 in income and saved $6,300. You heard me right. What would you do with an extra $6,300? You had Shirley talk about 5 and Jeff talk about money saved, and I've lived this reality my whole life. Many business owners have. That's the part. You could actually build a huge AGS True Hemp business by just educating people on the fact, look, if you're a wage earner, you want the tax advantages of a home-based business, you need to enroll for $59.95. Yes, you're going to get basically a $90 bottle for $60. Congratulations, incredible product. You're going to save a lot of money, right? You're going to be able to buy wholesale. If people buy through your website for the $90 bottle, we see it all the time. You're going to keep 100% of that $30 in commission. And that $30 commission, right, times 20 of them is $600, right? You just think about what happened there. You obviously, just that alone is exciting, but I'm more excited about the tax benefits of having a home-based business. So what business maximizes my tax savings? Everyone who's employed should have some kind of a business. In other words, it should be part of your financial portfolio, period. Whether it's AGS, it doesn't matter. If you want to cut hair, home-based business, you want to, cook out of your house, whatever it is, you want to have a home-based business just for the tax benefits. Why would you, let's put it this way, why would you want to give more away? Right, if you can recoup another $6,300 in a year, I mean, you could use that on vacation, you could pay down debt, credit cards, all of that extra money coming back to you is worth the price. Look, if you're paying $59.95, right, you're actually getting a $90 bottle, as I alluded to, right? So it's worth paying the $60. But what if you weren't even getting a bottle? It's 60 times 12, right? It's $720 a year to get. Now you have a home-based business. And now you get a tax deductions and get an extra $6,300. I don't know about you, that's a pretty good rate of return. But again, you want to be able to educate yourself. Look, we're in a day and age. I'm not saying become the expert in taxes, but I want you to be able to understand the value of having a home-based business. If you work with people, many activities qualify as business activities if you have asked for referrals or shared business ideas. In other words, it's like this direct sales business was almost a gift as a home-based business because it's the way you build your business. I know it's people all over the country and even, all over the country that are out there having meetings, they're providing meals and all these kind of things. Those are tax deductible. Now look, before this, if you knew nothing about the tax advantage of home-based business, you would have paid for that stuff anyways, right? You would have. But you didn't even know that you had the ability, right, the tax advantage of having a home-based business. So that's what tonight's webinar is all about, right? So why start a home-based business? Job security is an illusion. It really is. A prime example. A family member in my family, prime example, was doing incredible, making about $100 a year, and all of a sudden they went out of maternity leave, because they had a baby. And when they came back, guess what? Nepotism, right? A friend, that person's boss had a friend that needed a job. And so when they came back, how would you like that? Have a baby, go on maternity leave and come back and you don't have a job. So even in a good economy, this stuff happens, right? Bad economy, good economy. The point is, I was taught many, many years ago by a billionaire, believe it or not. I asked the question, and I really asked him the question. I said, basically, what would be one important thing that I need to know? And I was a young man, I was in my 20s, that I would need to know moving forward. And he said, look, the bottom line is make sure that no one account, I had a waste hauling company, no one account makes up more than 3% of your total revenue. And I said, Al, why is that? And he says, because if you lose it, you won't miss it. 3%, right? And he goes, the other thing, it's a lot easier to replace 3% than it is 100%. Why is that relevant to tonight's webinar? It's because if you have a job, it's basically you have one customer, and that's your employer. And if you mess up, you lost 100% of your income. That's the part I want you to get, right? So home-based business, what's beautiful about, especially direct sales, right? You might have an organization of 300 people, we'll just say, or 100 people or 30 people, right? If one of them leaves, it's not the end of the world, right? You still got 29 or 299 people that are excited about their product, paying their auto ship, and you're getting anywhere from 5 to 20% of the commission value, which happens to be $30, right? So you're making $1.50 to $6 every month. And if you lost one customer, right, you've lost $1.50 to $6 a month. It's not gonna rock your world. So that's the advantage of having a home-based business. Not only that, it's a second income, but it provides what? It provides another stream of income, which provides security. Okay? The typical tax savings for a home-based business. Your home office deduction, 10%. Think about that. If your bills are $4,000 a month, right, at 10% savings on that, that's $400. That's an extra $5,000 a year in deductions alone to shelter your income to help offset your tax liability. What would that do for a lot of people on here, right? That alone would bring you an extra $1,000, a couple $1,000 back in your pocket. Your seminar cruise trip deductions up to $2,000. There's another deduction right there. This is based on the new tax law that's in place, right? Business use of vehicles, business mileage is 54 cents per mile. You gotta log it that you were going, like prime example, Sabrina and I met today, your director of True Hemp, right? Prime example, we met at a coffee shop, called it 10 miles there, 10 miles back, right? So that's 20 miles, right? If 54 cents, do the math on that. That's $10, even though the coffee cost me $5, but I was even able to deduct 50% of that, right? The reality is I also was able to deduct the mileage. So how much did the coffee cost me? Actually, I made money getting the coffee and meeting with Sabrina because of the tax shelter that it provides. All food or beverages served to prospects are 50% deductible. Prime example. So even in that, the coffee, as I alluded to, right, half of that is a write-off. It was a business meeting. So that you didn't have that before you decided to enroll for $59.95 and got that bottle you were excited about, our True Hemp CBD 500 milligrams is what I'm using as an example, right? You just thought, great, hey, I'm able to buy wholesale and sell retail. Well, think again, you got a whole nother advantage of having a home-based business. So more tax savings for home-based business, cost of training, education meetings. Again, you want to go back to your CPA that understands the new home-based tax laws, right? Living and travel expenses away from home. The list goes on. Cost of samples. There's a prime example. You know, a lot of people are out there and they're talking about getting samples and all of that. Look, obviously that's a hard cost of business. So that is actually 100% deduction. It's a hard cost of doing business. Some people are saying, well, Kevin, you know, if I'm in a certain state that's not in a slide here, I think Liz had reached out to me or Kimberly, whatever, and they were asking about, you know, the tax. What should I do with my new home-based business? Well, look, like any business, we are basically, the company's based out of New Jersey, right? And so if you're in another state, you're running a business and people are buying retail through you, right? That's fine. But if you're buying product, we'll say, and you're selling it retail, maybe at a trade show or something like that, yeah, you want to get a permit. You're actually doing business as normal in that marketplace, right? So you want to make sure that you record that and everything for sales tax, right? So those are some very relevant things, but there's so many benefits here. And the list goes on and on. Cost of trying our products, obtain personal testimonies, and all of that is a legitimate expense. Using the IRS official tax terms, right? Section 162, in general, there shall be allowed as a deduction all the ordinary necessary expenses paid or incurred during the taxable year in carrying on any trade or business. Tax cuts. As a taxpayer, you can plan your business and personal finances in such a way that you will pay the least tax that is due under law. Again, just another caveat, more value as it is, because you started an AGS True Hemp business. Family, I don't know what to tell you. I always reach out to people and say family because I believe that's what we're building here, right? But again, you want to be excited about, right? Tax saving example for a home-based business. Before owning a home-based business, driving to the bank or a trip to visit friends would be classified as a personal expense by the IRS. In other words, not a deduction. After owning a home-based business, driving to the same bank, obviously you're depositing. Some people ask me, should I have a special account for my business? Look, here's all I can tell you. You know, you can go to Incorporated Inc. Go to the website. I think it's a great resource for people and be able to understand the difference between a sole proprietor, right? A sole proprietor, yes, if you get an EIN number, you know, which separates it, yeah, you're going to have a separate account, set that up. I would do that just so I can track and know that there's what I call no commingling of funds, right? It's unacceptable, right? You want to be able to do that, but you don't have to go out and get a C corporation, spend $1,000, you know, in the state of California and pay a franchise tax every year, you know, $1,000. You don't have to do that. You can actually just, as a sole proprietor, run it into your personal account. It's totally up to you. Again, go back to your CPA and take their advice, and you see exactly what I'm talking about. But here's the point that I want to allude to on the slide. So cost of a trip to visit the same friends will qualify as a business expense by the IRS if you mention your business and ask for referrals. Prime example. So Sabrina and I just go have a cup of coffee. That's not a legitimate business write-off, right? But the fact that we talked about business, that was the intent. If I could really say one thing that's probably the most in all my years of being in business and understanding, two most important things, right, is the intent. The intent, meaning the intent of me going to the coffee shop was in fact, right, and documenting that I was going to a business meeting. That's number one. The second thing is documentation. In today's day and age, you know, people say I got shoe boxes of receipts and all of that. That's great. You could still do it the archaic way, but I would just download an app where you can actually take a snapshot of the receipt. It'll actually log it. It can even tie it into the account to match your MasterCard. There's a lot of neat things out there, right? And I know TaxBot, I know Sandy Bakken talks about that. But you want to be able to, again, just document like anything else. You know, in the court of law, you got to be able to validate that what you're saying is real. You can't just say, oh, no. You know, so that part, you got to be a little bit smart about what it is you're doing. You're in business, okay? You don't need to be overwhelmed by any of this. What I want you to understand is this. For the $59.95, a lot of people will just go, life as usual, and not even understand they can get an extra $3,000 to $5,000 back in the returns, especially with the double deduction now that's in place in a lot of these areas that didn't exist before. My son's a prime example. He has 4 sons. I call them my little bear cubs, right? His actually deductions for them doubled. What does that mean? It means, well, if he got $6,000 per child before, I'll just use as a round number, right? That was $24,000. But now he can shelter with that. We'll say it's double, close to $50,000 against his income. So if he made $100,000 just through his children alone, he could shelter 50 of that $100,000 to waive that tax liability, right, and save himself money. So that's the beautiful part about what it is we have. Here's at the end of the day, look, currently 37 million Americans are working from their home. 37 million. Okay. And think about it. There's basically 300 million people in the United States, right? Basically about, we'll say 150 to 200 of them are actually, maybe 150 of them are working, right? And we got 37. So almost literally 25% of the people today have a home-based business. Every week, about 175,000 new people in the U.S. are starting their home-based business. Look, we have hundreds of people starting their AGS TrueHemp businesses, right? Just since January. So we're just one company out of thousands of companies. So as they like to say, forget your paycheck, your W-2 days are over. It's a 1099 world now, Fortune magazine, right? So look, again, what I wanted to be able to do was create awareness for everybody that's coming into the company. Look, starting your AGS TrueHemp business is a lot more than being able to buy wholesale and sell retail. It's a lot more than building a team and getting paid a percentage of your team sales, which is incredible. But this other part alone, in the minimal sense of you running your business, documenting what you're doing, the intent of what you're doing, right? You now have this whole new thing that would actually offset really your cost of doing business if in fact you weren't even getting a product shipped to you. But what makes AGS TrueHemp so amazing is that we got real value here. And that's what you got to be able to articulate to the people that love. Let them know, look, hey, in this time of the year, not only able to buy wholesale, right, and be able to market retail and keep 100% of the commissions. And if you build a team, you can make a percentage of it. As a matter of fact, a case in point, it's kind of off the left field, but it's very relevant because I had a conversation today with one of the leaders, and they're looking at the promo, the January, February, the cab bonuses, of course, are, don't exist during this promo because we're not collecting the 150, 200, and 250, right? It's at 50, 60, 70. And I was saying, ironically, people are catching $5 cabs, but because our company doesn't hold back 90 days for residuals to pay out. Matter of fact, if you actually had, think about this, on the 29th, we'll just say, which is February, on the 28th of this month, which would be the last day of the month, someone bought something from you, right? $30. They bought a bottle for $90. It was wholesale to you for $60, which is $30 commission to you, right? That right there would be paid out, obviously, on the 15th of that week. That week of the 15th would be paid out to you. So remember, this week is payday week, right, family? The point is, that's 2 weeks later. Most companies on residuals, so now we're going to talk about the residual side. The residual side typically is held back. In our company, you get paid the following month as well. It's all thrown in the basket. Why is that relevant? Because let's say I fall on your 7th level, right? And you're a national director. All 7 levels get paid out. People don't even realize why it's relevant to hit these spin levels. The bottom line is that $6 is also paid out, not 90 days. That $6 is paid out. Plus, we have the 90-day bonus program. Do a little, obviously, talk beyond the tax conversation because I like to talk about what the advantages of AGS TrueHemp and our compensation plan. But the bottom line is that's paid out. Obviously, your residuals are paid out the following month. So here's the summary. If you don't have a home-based business, ask the person who invited you to the seminar how to start one that will not only help you with the significant tax savings, but will also provide you with a plan B for retirement. Think about this. What if you could, through your home-based business, generate between tax savings, right? So let's say you save $6,000 because you had a home-based business. That would be $500 a month. And let's say your little business grew to $500 a month between bonuses and residuals and the 90-day bonus program if you enroll this year and participating in that, right? Do you know what an extra $1,000 a year thrown at your mortgage does for the average mortgage in the United States? Do you realize just having this alone, your home would be paid off in 10 years instead of 30? That's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother training. But let's just start with the reality. If you're a guest on the line and someone puts you on this webinar, not only are you able to buy wholesale and sell retail and keep 100% of the commissions, which is unheard of, right? But if you build a team and everybody's marketing one bottle of the 500 milligram, there's $30 commission value available to you as well. So just do the math on that. Start saving today and invest for your future. You know, AGS has done an incredible job. True Hemp. We have an incredible product mix. Make sure, hey, the gummies are in, by the way. Just a little side note there. You know, the gummies are available. You want to enjoy those. I'm enjoying them. They're like candy. Well, they basically are, right? So if you don't like the drops underneath your tongue and all of that, again, they're 20 milligrams, so they're measured per thing. There's 30 of them, so that's 600 milligrams. It's equivalent to like a 500 milligram bottle of that, but you just take a gummy bear every day instead of a drop under your tongue. So pretty amazing there. You know, we have our toffees tomorrow. Again, you know, it's Valentine's Day. Don't forget your brides or your significant others, right? Get those toffees and double packs out there. I know everybody's loving those things. If you're allergic to peanuts or, you know, obviously they're dark chocolate toffees, you know. Kimberly reached out to me, so we posted that on there as well. You know, there's nuts and all of that. It's in the image, but now it's on the website as well as far as the ingredients. So family, once again, great to share this information. Again, this is an advice. It's about creating awareness. There's plenty of content out there. Make sure you're hooking up with the right CPA that knows home-based business laws. Educate yourself a little bit so you can ask them some pertinent information, right? And know that they really do know about the tax law, right? So between our Moringa products, our travel products, all these things, look, this needs to be a part of your portfolio. And for everybody that's going through this time of the year, they need to have a home-based business as part of the portfolio, no matter what that home-based business is. But the rule really is this. Remember, you want to document, and you got to always remember the intent of what you're doing and document the intent of that. And there's apps today where you can do that and make it very, very simple. It's not about saving receipts. I have 1 million receipts at the end of the year. You want to have the receipts, but you don't have to have the paper ones. You could just do a screenshot off your cell phones today, and it'll process everything for you, make your life a whole lot easier. So family, hopefully that makes sense tonight. It's great to be able to share the information. Again, get that book, you know, at least start there. Not expensive. You don't have to buy into all the stuff with the training and all of that. We don't need people going off in tangents of being tax experts. We don't want that, or you don't want that kind of liability. Leave that up to the CPAs, but make sure that, in fact, they're educated. Okay? So once again, family, we love you guys. Happy Valentine's Day. We will not have a leadership call tomorrow for that reason. Hopefully everybody's taking everybody out on Valentine's Day. I know my bride and I, you know, we're going to have fun. And with that, this does conclude tonight's webinar. Take care, and God bless everybody. Bye-bye. This does conclude tonight's webinar.